Alright, hello everyone. Okay, I made it. I am on the ferry from BC to the US. And I was literally the last car to enter. No one at the customs thought I would make it. But I got there just in time. So, I'm introducing this video while I'm in my car because this Saturn-Mars conjunction is in my third house, which is cars or transportation and communication. So I'm not gonna end this video in my car. I'm actually gonna start up again outside. But I'll say this: Saturn conjunct Mars, what's happening is there's a new phase conjunction happening with Mars and Saturn. And it's in Sagittarius. So wherever this is in your chart is where you have the opportunity at this time to strengthen and affirm your life of freedom and adventure. There's a teaching that you may have heard, which is just like water tastes from the ocean tastes salty, the truth tastes like freedom. And living in personal truth, personal authenticity is freeing. And as I shared in my last video, nature is authentic. So nature is freeing. There's something freeing about just being what we are. So with Saturn and Mars coming together, this is a great opportunity to really create and build and make choices in alignment with our truth. So let's explore this a little bit more outside. All right, so now I'm leaving BC, and here we have beautiful Victoria in Vancouver Island from the ferry. It's a little loud. And this is something about Sagittarius. Sagittarius, it's a mutable sign, so there's a quality of transition to it. All the mutables have this quality of being transitional. I'm gonna flip this around. Okay, hopefully this is working out. So being transitional basically means the essence of Sag, which is really about the discovery of truth. Within Sagittarius, we're constantly expanding our understanding of reality. And the point really is to orient towards life in such a way where our answers, our sense of what's right and what's true, isn't necessarily fixed. Otherwise, what happens within Sagittarius is wherever we go, we'll just project the same belief system. And then we're not listening. We're not really being open to experience. And that's where within Sagittarius, there can be this dynamic of alienation. And the alienation is like settling into a new area with people of a different background, but bringing the same orientation towards life. That's one thing that we learned from the Gemini polarity. It's just there are so many ways of looking at reality, so many ways of coming to an understanding of the truth. So this transitional energy, on one level within Sag, always means that we're in motion. We're constantly in motion. We're constantly on this journey, on this pilgrimage from our existing understanding of the truth to a deeper, more comprehensive understanding of the truth. And the point within Sagittarius isn't necessarily to always be traveling, nor is it necessarily about not traveling. The deeper meaning is it doesn't really matter, because this is a journey. On a soul level, we're all just journeying through this earth. And it's our home, and it's temporary. I often think about, in the I Ching, the hexagram for the traveler, which is the 56th hexagram. And the hexagram for the traveler, a lot of the lines in that hexagram correspond to different ways that the traveler will cultivate or develop the pattern of arrogance or carelessness on the journey. There's one line that talks about the traveler burns down their resting place because of carelessness, or a line where the traveler becomes too comfortable and they settle down where they're actually meant to stay in motion. There are lines that describe the traveler receiving helpers and servants along the way. But all the lines basically refer to some element of transience, that you're coming and you're going, and learn how to align with the environment and be there, but also don't settle down to the point where you're forgetting that you're still on this journey. And you will find friends, you will find helpers, and you will be friends and helpers to others. Really living this life in a way where we're in touch with the essence of Sagittarius helps us to see that everything wants to come and go, and everything is transitional in this life. And the question becomes, in this moment at this time, am I open to a new experience? Am I open to learning and growing and expanding my existing understanding? Am I perceiving this moment in my life as a perfect template for my next realization, for a deeper understanding? Or am I going to project that this is just the same old, and how many years, how many hundreds or thousands of years have we seen religions and cultures throughout the world, this beautiful world full of magic and wonder, where from generation to generation we've seen historically people not really expanding much beyond their box because it's so easy. And this is especially true with Saturn in Sagittarius. Saturn is about lineage and heritage. It's so easy to just adopt a belief system, especially one that's old and tried and familial, and to just settle down to the conditioned way of looking at reality. One of the deeper principles behind a belief system that I find is what makes it useful or not. It's not about whether it's a right belief system or a wrong belief system. It's not really the point within Sag. It's really, does it help? Does it foster greater love and connection and unity? Does it bring me more into this moment? Does it teach me more about forgiveness? To me, that's a useful belief system. So one thing that happens in Sagittarius is we begin to start to understand principles, and hopefully those principles are simple, and they hold more space. They give context for things, and they don't hold too much dogma. And something that I tend to notice is that life can often be categorized in sets of threes. So let's take this lightly, but there's something about three. And within the time-space experience, of course, there's always going to be self, other, and then the unity, right? Or this past, present, and then this moment. And the third being always this beyond time, beyond space, that which is beyond the dualities, whereas the dualities will be the one and the two. There's just something about that I find can be, put everywhere. So within Sagittarius, we can also look at the idea of where you're coming from, right? The journey that you're just completing, the place you're going to, and the transition between the two. And in astrology, whenever there's a new phase occurring within Sagittarius, we can really see that happening. So Mars has been moving into a balsamic conjunction with Saturn, which means Mars has been moving towards Saturn. And since Mars is a faster moving planet, soon Mars will pass over Saturn and it will begin a new phase. It's going to be a new cycle for the next, 2+ years until Mars joins Saturn again. So in the time of this video, I'm literally in between the shores of my life, and we all are, because Mars is just hours away from becoming combust, exact perfect conjunction with Saturn. And I sure hope I don't drop this phone in the water, so I'm going to hold it really carefully. And there's something to say about this transitional energy. What do you see? Oh yeah, let's see if we can find, let's check it out. And that's the point. In this transitional time, it's good to honor. We're letting go of the past. We've learned, we've shared, we've taught, we've been the teacher, we've been learning, we've shared enriching experiences, and hopefully we can really find that on this journey we're leaving each place even better than it was when we went there. And I love to, because I travel so much, I love to offer a prayer where I just literally go to the house that I was staying in, the land that I was staying in, I say thank you, and I bless you, and I love you, and I just thank it for what it's given me, and I thank it for what it's taught me, and I thank the function of each individual part. The bathroom for being such a great container to support me to release and to be healthy. The kitchen for being such a great container to support me to be nourished and to feel healthy and to feel at home. And the water and the land and the trees and the ducks. And living in that way and holding that intention that every relationship is complete. That we travel, we come into this world, we come into the city, we come into a relationship. And we can fully live out each experience and be free and grateful as we move on to the next. And where there are feelings or there's being something unresolved, it's to really hold that with a lot of care. And I think an issue with Mars is we often tend to react to uncomfortable sensations. But to just notice the sensations, to actually allow wisdom to speak through us. And there's always so much value in patience and listening. And sometimes a lot of what's unresolved can actually just be resolved on the inside. I find most of this doesn't really need to be engaged externally. In fact, all truly fruitful external actions, I find that they're really useful because the resolution already happened on the inside first. So we leave a place and then we're in the transitional point. And to really honor that transitional time as a time of not really knowing what's next, getting excited for the new shores, for the new adventure, but just holding a lot of curiosity and gratitude for the past. And astrologically, that's exactly what's going on whenever we're finding a cycle like this. So Mars coming into a conjunction with Saturn, it's not yet in the new cycle. And it's nice to look around also and notice that we're all on the same boat. We're all just transient, and we'll do things that feel very permanent. You know, people who have a lot of mutables, especially Sag, and Pisces too, and Gemini, and well, all the mutables, Virgo too, but especially Sag, there can be this deep feeling of really not belonging anywhere, or like a citizen of the world kind of dynamic. And the truth is, there's no full tangible reality to, you know, fully belonging somewhere as a full-on truthful identity, and at the same time we really truly belong wherever we are. So there's this transcendence in landing and being fully here and appreciating how incredibly transient this life is. Even if we settle down in one place for a long time and build a family, develop a career, that in essence is no less exciting, no less adventurous than traveling the world, which in its essence is potentially not necessarily very interesting or exciting. Nothing in particular is anything in particular. It really comes back down to, what is your journey calling you to? Right now I'm clearly in a travel phase of my life, one that I've felt and intuited for many years. But for many years that was not right for me. There's a cycle. One thing that Saturn teaches us in our lives, in a very real way, the Saturn cycles in our life, the Saturn squares every 7.5 years, the Saturn return at 29 and also in our late 50s. One thing that these Saturn cycles teach us is that this human life is constructed in such a way where we are actually playing out time periods in our life. And within these time periods, there are certain phases of development that on a soul level, we are intending to explore and experience. And in the same way that this body is a human template that we come into, and that is the construct of our journey for this incarnation, there are also phases of time where different karmic dynamics and ways of exploring coming into ourselves, and it's brilliantly and beautifully constructed. But along the journey, we do find out, we do get to discover what is beyond that time. It's about understanding and cooperating with the parameters and cycles of our life, but finding out what exists beyond those cycles, beyond those parameters, who we actually are.